pretty confident I believed in Santa Claus longer than you. I asked Rusty, when did your son stop believing in Santa Claus? I don't know, 6, 7 years old? I looked on the internet today. I went to askjeeves.com. And I typed in, when do children stop believing in Santa Claus? I got a bunch of websites. It's about 6 or 7 years old, all right? How old is 5th grade? 5th grade. Mrs. Bond. Now, in 4th grade, in 3rd grade, in 2nd grade, I had hints. Johnny Hines would take me to his parents' bedroom, presents. To Johnny from Santa, under the bed. And I was like, well, Santa obviously doesn't come here. His parents, God bless them, they scramble, they find a way, they kind of create this little Santa thing in their house. I didn't know. He was Protestant. Maybe it was, I don't know. But Santa came to our house. And then the next year there was, there was always different evidence to refute Santa, but I would push it aside with my own evidence to the contrary. And then in 4th grade, all the kids were like, shillue, you still believe in Santa? That's ridiculous. There's no such thing as Santa Claus. And I'm like, yes. And then Karen Barker, the cutest girl in the class, she was arguing with me. There is a Santa Claus. And she directed people to the editorial in the newspaper. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. And she held that up as proof, and she read it to the class. And they were like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, shillue, you're an idiot. Karen Barker, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But I was with Karen Barker, the hot girl. We were together. We were fighting this whole band of kids. And we had evidence that Santa Claus did exist. And then at the end of the day, I went out to my locker and I was putting my stuff away, and then Karen Barker comes walking up to me and she says, hey, thanks a lot for helping me out defending Santa Claus. I said, that's all right, Karen, anytime. And then she looks at me with her little cute 4th grade eyes. And she was like, I mean, you and I know there's no Santa Claus, but I'm just defending the principle of it. And I was like, yeah, that's all that matters, the principle. But then she walked away. This is how strong it was. She walked away. And I was like, poor Karen Barker. Tom, we have lost her too. And then that year, between 4th and 5th grade, there must have been so much evidence that I was just let it slip by. I let it all go by. The backpack that had the Building 19 tag on it, the discount store back in Massachusetts, Santa shops at Building 19, ridiculous. And then we're sitting in class, and Jimmy Hanlon was telling the kindergartners, there's no such thing as Santa Claus, there's no such thing as Santa Claus. And Mrs. Bond takes us all together and she says, Jimmy Hanlon, you should be ashamed of yourself for saying that. Jimmy Hanlon was like, oh, sorry. And she was like, you should never tell people there's no Santa Claus. Now, we're all in 5th grade. We know there's no Santa Claus. Mrs. Bond. That was the first adult. And then it all came to me. It was like the Coke den. I was like, the backpack. Johnny Hines' presents wrapped from Santa in November. All of the evidence came to light, and it was all, and I thought, how stupid could you be? How naive could you be? And then I thought, maybe it's the specials that we grew up on. You know, those Christmas specials. They gave so many conflicting signals, all of those Christmas specials. Santa Claus is coming to town. That was supposed to be the definitive history of Santa Claus. And they had some kind of weird Germanic origin with the Burgermeister and toys. And Santa Claus has to fight his way through he runs into the Winter Warlock. What the hell is that? It's some kind of Lord of the Rings thing thrown in there. It did not work into my Christian worldview at all. The Winter Warlock. And he defeats the Winter Warlock, and then and I have this theory that all those things in the 70s, there was some kind of there were these left-wing writers out in California writing these histories of Christmas, and the Winter Warlock is like nuclear power, I think. And then when Santa shows the benevolence of Christmas, then the Winter Warlock melts like the nuclear winter. And the Year Without a Santa Claus, the other one, that was this weird kind of environmental global warming thing with the heat miser. And the global warming is gonna, there'll be no more Christmas. That was it, the Year Without a Santa Claus. Watch out, it's happening. The ozone it was all about that. Mother Nature, it was weird, paganist almost. And then the worst of them all, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Based on a song, it was a throwaway song. It was only supposed to be a song, and they said, let's take that song, and we're gonna bleed that song for all it's worth. We're gonna wring something out of that song, and they make this hour-long special with the puppets. And this thing is pernicious. This tale of Rudolph is, this is the other, it was like somebody getting back at the left-wing guys. It was some Nazi who was writing this thing. Let's take a look at it. Go through it step by step. Rudolph has a red nose. He's different. He's unique. He's special. First thing his father does, rubs dirt on it. Cover up that red nose. It's bad to be different. Chapter 2. He moves along. He goes out. He goes to school. He jumps higher than anyone else because he's in love. Oh, then the thing falls off. Rudolph, you're off the team. You can jump higher, but it doesn't matter. You're different. You're a freak. Get the hell out of here. And that jump, you remember when he was jumping? She said, I'm cute. She said, I'm cute. It was a little bit gay. That little bit gay. And the coach was so macho, he's like, you're not like us. Get off the team. Commercial break. Come back. We're in Santa's workshop. It's a sweatshop. Santa's an asshole. More toys. You woman, you don't cook for me. Sorry, Santa. Have to make him fat. Make Santa fat. Make Santa fat. Your food sucks. How's the toy production going in the factory? Cut to the factory. One elf has aspirations beyond working in a sweatshop. Wants to make toys. Herbie doesn't like to make toys. Herbie doesn't like to make Herbie. He wants to be a Herbie wants to be a dentist. Bang! He's out on his ass. He's out there with the other freak, Rudolph. They get together. All right. Now the opportunity for it's good to be different. That's what's coming. But it doesn't. It never comes. Just the opposite happens. They go on their little adventures, and then they come across the scary snowman, and then they land on what? The island of misfit toys. A prison island for handicaps. The slightest defect, banished to a concentration camp. It's Siberian. They land there, and then Santa Claus, it's Christmas night, Santa Claus is doing he doesn't give a shit about the toys. He doesn't care about Herbie. He doesn't want anyone slowing down production. So he's off on his sleigh ride that night, and then he hits some bad weather, and he crash lands on the island of his own making. And there all the toys are staring at him, the little thing with the square wheels. And Santa Claus, does he feel guilt? No guilt! He's looking at all of them. He's looking for a freak that can get him out of his jam. And he says, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? This is a perfect opportunity for a fuck you to Santa from all the inhabitants of the island. But no, Rudolph, he thinks and he says, wait a minute, just being different has never gotten me anywhere. And he says, sure thing, Santa, hook me up. Hook me up to your sled. And he takes him on his ride, and then Santa, as a gesture of goodwill, basically he doesn't want to get lynched. He says, all you toys, get on the sleigh. Yeah, I meant to take you anyway. And he puts him on the sled, and then he throws him in the bad neighborhood or something. And then, if that's not bad enough, the one creature left on God's earth that has any individualism whatsoever left in him, the abominable snowman. They can't let him just wander the wilderness alone. Santa needs one last slave, one last indentured servant. So he says, Herbie, I found the job for you. Rip the teeth out of that freak and get him to put the star on the tree once a year. So Herbie performs vivisection on the snowman, and that toothless beast smiles, and everyone sings songs, and they're all happy. I think the lesson there is, if you're different, if you have something special about you, cover it up. And don't reveal it until you can be of use to the CEO. Thanks a lot.